Kine for 4 minutes.
Gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Kine, is recognized for 4 minutes.
Consent to revise and extend.
Without objection, gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank my friend for yielding my time. And in response to my good friend from Utah, I know his belief is sincere, but just to be clear with this legislation before us, we're not mandating that schools and school districts have to offer physical education, merely informing parents in the community what physical activity and what physical education courses are being provided today. And we were very careful in that. But there's a very simple concept behind the Fit Kids legislation before us today, and that is this. Studies have shown that it's hard to develop a healthy mind without a healthy body. And as my good friend from Tennessee, Mr. Wamp, has been fond of saying, that one of the best antidepressants ever invented in the entire world is just good old-fashioned sweat. That's what we're up against with the childhood obesity epidemic that's ravaging our country and our youth today. The onset of early childhood type 2 juvenile diabetes, cardiovascular disease. Close to 75% of kids today are on the verge of being overweight, and we know that 80% of them will be overweight in the adult life if something is done to preempt that at a much sooner level. That's what's behind the movement towards the Fit Kids legislation. It's an attempt to try to emphasize physical activity and physical education courses back in our schools today. Why is this important? Again, part of the reason, as Mr. Wampa pointed out, is that with the advent of No Child Left Behind, various courses that were offered in the past are being squeezed. Arts are being dropped. And physical education especially are one of those courses that are viewed more and more as a discretionary item rather than something that's necessary to enhance our own child's performance in the classroom. Because we know that when kids are more physically active, they tend to perform better in schools. Test scores go up, there's less disciplinary problems, graduation rates go up, and their overall health improves. All worthy goals that we need to be encouraging and supporting more of throughout the nation. But today, only 4% of elementary schools, 8% of middle schools, 2% of high schools even provide daily physical education in their schools. 22% of schools don't require students to take physical education at all, and that number is growing. 62% of children don't receive any physical activity outside of the school hours, and schools are providing less and fewer physical activity opportunities. What Fit Kids will do is work to ensure that kids are active during the school day and are taught from an early age the benefits of living an active and healthy lifestyle. The bill will have schools make information available to parents and communities about the type of physical education being provided to students for each grade in relation to the recommended amounts established by the CDC, as well as information on the importance of living healthy and active lifestyles. It will enact a National Resources Council study through the National Academy of Sciences to figure out the best way to incorporate physical activity in the school day and study the relationship between physical activity and cognitive development and academic achievement, where there's a dearth of research being provided today. And it will make available best practices for innovative and successful physical education programs and policies at the state and local level. So schools and school districts are not being asked to recreate the wheel trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. There are many model programs that already exist that we can help share through the modeling of best practices and get that information out to empower more schools and therefore more families. Ultimately, and I would agree with my friend from Utah, it really does come down to personal responsibility. For us to take more personal control over our own healthy lifestyle decisions. And we all know what we all need to be doing a better job of. Eating healthier, exercising more, not smoking, and especially for us parents to work much closer and earlier with our children at the earliest possible age to help them develop the good lifestyle decisions that will continue throughout their life. And that will mean, from time to time, of unplugging them from the technology that so many of our kids are addicted to. I've got 2 little boys at home myself. I know the power. May I have 1 additional minute?
Mr. Speaker, you want an additional minute.
Gentleman is recognized for an additional 1 minute.
I know the power that technology holds over our kids today, from Xboxes and TiVos and cell phones and Blackberries and all this. But it's also leading to a more sedentary lifestyle, increasing the childhood obesity epidemic. It's up to us parents working in the home, providing a good model of care and working with our kids to establish these good practices. Again, I want to thank my colleagues, Mr. Wamp, Mr. Inslee, for being original sponsors of the legislation, the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Biggert, who's also a co-sponsor of this bill. I want to thank Chairman Miller and the members of the Education and Labor Committee for the hearings and the attention brought to it. I also want to thank the over 50 organizations that have endorsed this legislation, such as the American Heart Association, the NFL Players Association with their Play 60 campaign, National Association of Sport and Physical Education, American Diabetes Association, Sporting Goods Manufacturers Association, the First Lady, Michelle Obama, along with the President, that's elevated the cause of children's health to new levels and new attention in this country, my own staff person, Shannon Glynn, who's worked tirelessly on this bill, and not least of which, Richard Simmons, who's been a tireless advocate promoting Fit Kids throughout the nation, testifying here in Congress, appearing before press conferences, on Jay Leno, on David Letterman, and visiting hundreds and hundreds of schools every year for his life mission of promoting healthy living habits for not just adults, but especially the children in our lives. I thank Richard Simmons for his leadership and his tireless advocacy on Fit Kids. I ask my colleagues to support it. It's the right thing to do. It's the right step. More needs to be done. This is a good place to start. I yield back the remainder of my time.